The incomprehensible vastness of the multiverse. It would be a simple thing to get lost in its complexities. Indeed, this happens often to those curious and adventurous enough to make exploring these infinite reaches their life's work. To them, disappearing is either a temporary inconvenience or an occupational hazard. But what about the creatures, perhaps even people, that have no concept of other planes of existence? What happens when they encounter something they cannot explain or vanish from the face of their world? And not from doing something as bold as gallivanting through realities, but merely playing a harmless, innocent game like Pokémon GO. In many realities, not unlike yours, mobile gaming has become as commonplace as eating or using an electroferret to navigate a stellar nursery. Playing games during an idle moment can keep the mind sharp, or at the very least, provide a much-needed dopamine hit to power through the rest of the day. But some games take this a step further, encouraging a player to explore their real world to progress in the fantasy world. Pokémon GO, played in almost 28% of all known realities, is perhaps the best known of these types of games. In Pokémon GO, the player is tasked with finding and catching a variety of largely fictional creatures, some of which can only be found in specific locations. In the frenzy during the game's early days, this led to some incidents of trespassing and even vehicular mishaps from distracted drivers. But these would pale in comparison to the bizarre events that took place in the summer of 2018 in the bustling metropolis of Missouri City, Kansas. For Emiko Kieta, EMMY to her friends and family, June 22nd, 2018 started like an ordinary day. The 20-year-old left her dorm room on the University of Missouri City campus at 8:15 a.m., stopped at the nearby Pine J Roasters for a cup of coffee, then made her way to the campus quad to wait for her friends before going to their shared class. Malcolm Holloway, 19, and Darren Sterling, 19, a couple since their sophomore year of high school, were next to arrive. The pair were particularly excited about some new Pokémon that had been added to the game, and as they waited, they tried to convince EMMY and their other friends via group message to ditch class to go hunt for the digital creatures. Devin Watterson, 21, was reluctant in their text responses, explaining that they were already behind in their coursework. They were the only member of the 5 that was from out of state and were worried about losing their scholarship. Julie Bortnick, 18, the youngest of the group, was enthusiastic about the idea immediately and was already using a third-party app to narrow their search. She was the biggest Pokémon fan of them all, and had actually been one of the first in the state to complete her Pokédex. But, once together, the friends were apparently able to convince Devin to go with them, as multiple eyewitnesses say they saw the group leave the quad at around 8:50 a.m. They never showed up to their class, nor would any of these 5 promising young students show up for a class ever again. This episode of the Unknown Files is sponsored by VoidCrab VPN. Are you tired of having your unsecured Mindspike rerouted and losing precious data and consciousness? Do you wish the temporal restrictions on your streaming services would just allow you to watch the classic 3009 sitcom, No, But That Guy's a Fish, regardless of what timeline you're in? Sign up for a free trial of VoidCrab VPN to see how an entire nebula of tiny crabs networked into a single hive mind can be harnessed to safeguard your Mindspike and...
Look. Everyone, I screwed up. I thought they couldn't trace this signal through yard sale. But the NOF is coming. Warn Harris if you can. They will kill him.
So, head to EternalYardSale.com/VoidCrab and enter the code YARDSALE39 to get 39% off your first 10-year contract to VoidCrab VPN, a Velcorp company. And before adieus are in any way furthered, let's go back to the Unknown Files. The group that would soon be dubbed the Pokémon 5 by the press started their hunt with a return to the Pine Jay Roasters. Security footage from the interior and exterior show the five getting drinks and leaving in Holloway's car, a seafoam green 1998 Plymouth Satellite, at around 9:20 a.m. They were next spotted entering the north entrance of the EMMY Bird Thayer department store almost 5 miles away from the UMC campus at 10:55 a.m. The five seemed in high spirits and spoke excitedly to each other as they left 20 minutes later. An MCPD officer was the next one to report seeing the five as she pulled Holloway's car over for speeding at 12:24 p.m. She let the young adults off with a warning and saw nothing amiss in their behavior. They were now on the opposite side of town, almost an hour's drive from their previous location. At 1:57 p.m., however, things take a turn for the strange. Which is what you're here for, isn't it? Security footage shows Holloway's car repeatedly pulling into and out of a gas station on the outskirts of Dodson, Kansas, a suburb of Missouri City, nearly 40 miles from where they began their quest. After doing this for almost 15 minutes, the car finally disappeared from view. Stranger still, cell phone records from this period do not show any of the five's phones pinging off the closest tower, which was just across the street from the gas station. They do, however, ping off a tower mere minutes from the UMC campus, and just moments from when Missouri City Gazette Inquisitor editor Harold Harris claims they caught the five wandering around the newspaper's printing facilities. By this point, the friend's demeanor had dramatically changed. Harris described the encounter as, quote, one of the most terrifying moments of my life. When they confronted the group, the five seemed panicked, almost desperate. They assumed the young adults were all on drugs and pulled out their phone to call security. Harris claims that EMMY Kieda assaulted them at this point, clawing at their face and neck as the other four escaped. EMMY dropped her own phone during this attack and left it behind once she finally fled. Bloodied, terrified, and completely confused, Harris contacted the authorities immediately and turned Kieda's phone over to the MCPD. EMMY Kieda was never seen again, but the other four were spotted one last time in a parking lot near the Earhart International Airport at 11:59 p.m., nearly 9 hours after their run-in with Harris. The four walk briskly through the lot, shoulder to shoulder, each staring intently down at their phones. Once they leave the frame, they seemingly vanished from the face of their world. MCPD were quick to mobilize and search for the students after the attack on Harris, but their movements were so erratic and confounding that it took weeks to piece together the timeline just presented. Holloway's car was never recovered, and it was never clear when the five abandoned it, or who was driving it when it appeared in Dodson. Kieda's parents also hindered the search by claiming their daughter would never have attacked anyone, and certainly have no reason to attack Harris, a complete stranger. In a misguided attempt to shield their daughter from scrutiny, they refused to unlock Emmy's phone for days before finally relenting. Unfortunately, what investigators found on Emmy's phone only deepened the mystery. It revealed that an unknown sixth party had entered the friends' group chat not long after they had left Emery Bird Thayer. Police never revealed the full contents of these messages, except to say that this unknown person was leading them to locations where a certain Pokémon could be found. MCPD withheld the name of the Pokémon specifically, hoping that anyone that came forward claiming responsibility could be verified. Kieda's phone revealed one last chilling detail. After Emmy had become separated from her friends and her phone, they texted her hundreds of times. Just one word, all caps, Emmy, over and over again. The last text came in at around the same time her friends were walking through the airport parking lot. Harold Harris, figuratively and literally scarred from the encounter, became deeply involved in the search for the students, and the Gazette Inquisitor offered $250,000 for a tip that would lead to locating them, but it was to no avail. As the leads petered out, and the press seized on and sensationalized the story, it became more and more difficult to even speculate on what happened to the Pokémon 5. Who was the unknown caller? Who was driving Holloway's car? Why and how did they enter the Gazette Inquisitor's printing facilities? What was influencing them in their final moments? While many mysteries may forever remain unsolved, the question of what happened to the Pokémon 5 is almost guaranteed to. The universe that contained Missouri, Kansas, was wiped from existence in 2021 by the So there you have it. The puzzle of the Pokémon 5. Shrouded in darkness for eternity. A mystery from a plane of existence that itself was wiped off the multiverse. Can such a bizarre event ever be truly explained? And for that matter, who is left for it to be explained to? These have been the Unknown Files. If you have enjoyed the Unknown Files or any other yard sale content, please consider signing up for a Patreon subscription. You'll get early access to everything Yard Sale produces, exclusive content that nobody else can behold, and a Discord community to help solve all the mysteries. But we know times are tough, so if you would like to support us in another way, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, follow us on social media, and spread the word. Until next time, show 'em how you shine.